I'm Peter Loshak. We're talking right now with returning guest, very popular Steubenville's own T.C. Williams. Steubenville's own T.C. Williams. Thanks for being back with us this week.
Peter, how you doing? Good to see you again.
I'm doing okay. Listen, T.C. Williams, I want to ask you something before we talk about this football game we're going to talk about today, okay?
I want to ask you something too.
No, let me ask you something first, okay?
Go ahead, you're the host.
Listen, there's a few things that I need done. Are you someone who can do things that someone else might need done?
We got to talk off camera.
Okay, let's talk about a football game. Carolina and Atlanta. Carolina is a 3.5-point home underdog. Total is 48. Now, I sort of thought that this was a good bet on the under when it first came out. I know that Carolina has a very suspect defense. I know their games have sort of trended over, and I know that, their last game against Atlanta went to 58. But I'm thinking, that was very impressive what Atlanta did last week against New Orleans. It was a defense-oriented effort. Carolina will probably try to shorten the game to pull out a win. Atlanta's already clinched the playoff spot, so they're, probably going to play a little bit more conservatively. I have to think under 48 is a good bet here. Why'd you take this game?
I think it's a great spot for Carolina and conversely a bad spot for Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta's pretty fat and happy. They're coming off this bye as well, and I'm sure they've been partying. They're feeling pretty good about themselves. They've already clinched the division. I mean, what more can they do in the short term in terms of intensity? And when last week, Carolina, conversely, they're coming off of that contest against Kansas City, and they were really in a no-win situation. I mean, if they win the game, then that's not really the greatest thing in the world, considering that terrible situation. And if they lose, then they lose. They got to come back home. I think they're going to be in a much better position to play this Sunday. Also, considering the way that they bungled that particular game whenever they played against Atlanta. I think there's a lot of motivation on the Carolina side.
No, I think you're kind of right here. I mean, people have been saying all year long that Atlanta's like overrated, they're overvalued, that their record is way, way better than their stats would indicate. And people have been sort of like looking for spots to fade them. Last week was Jeff Grant told us Atlanta was a great spot to bet on them. He told us exactly why, and he was right. I have a feeling you're right here. I think this might be one of the weeks where Atlanta is a good fade, especially 3 and the hook. So you like Carolina at plus 3.5, huh?
I really do, because again, for all of those reasons you just mentioned, I think it's a bad spot. It's also from the numbers perspective, it's where I like to be, because the public is on Atlanta very heavy. I mean, earlier in the week, whenever I was looking at it to cap the game, it was over 90%. It was all the public was on, and that's where I like to be. I like the contrarian play. And they're at home. It's tough to beat a team twice, even though they really beat them the last time they played. It's also a divisional game. I really like the home dog.
Makes a lot of sense to me. Great preview, great analysis. Steubenville's own T.C. Williams.